It is common to think about AI as a way to work faster, and that is true, but I think that the real power is something else. It is the control that you get over what and how you create. Today's video is a more in-depth tutorial where I'll show you how to build this premium looking one-page website with AI from start to finish. And I'll walk you through the concept, how I made the visuals, and explain the prompts and techniques that I used in Claude Code. I also talk about how I make it fully responsive and how to put a website online once it's finished. So by the end of this video you have everything that you need to know to build your first live website with AI. And make sure to stick around till the end because I prepared a free download for you as a thank you for watching. Now let me first walk you through the concept for the website quickly. At the top here I'm going for a full screen hero section. It's an image slider showing 4 projects, and I use large images to right away give a feel of the style of the work. And the images are in a wide 16:9 ratio and slowly pan from the right to the left while they're on screen. And this makes the hero feel more like a luxurious presentation instead of just showing a single static image. I use 2 different fonts for this design. The first is Tenor Sans for the navigation, and I like to use this font in capital letters as eyebrow headings. And Newsreader, a more classic looking serif font for the headings and the body text. Both of these are free to use Google fonts. The idea is that when you scroll, the rest of the website moves up and over the hero, so the hero stays fixed underneath. And the first thing to scroll over it is a quote. I like starting my website designs with a quote section as it makes the website feel more personal. And then after that comes the About section with a split screen design. Next, a Services section with an accordion style block. And then the projects shown in a slow moving ticker. And finally, a simple get in touch section with a contact button. I'm a designer by trade, so I like making my own designs, but it's not necessary to design all of these yourself. You can also grab example images that you like from Pinterest or Dribbble and then show it to Claude and tell it what you like about it, like a specific navigation or a layout, for example. And that works just as well. So whatever image you use, think of it as a way to clarify your vision and your text prompt. So add 1 or 2 reference images to each prompt at the most, and then describe what you want in detail because Claude prioritizes your text prompts over the reference images. Now that the concept is clear, I start with creating the visuals with AI. And I like to work with those warmer color tones and chose a more moody lighting style for this project to add contrast to the website. So I first searched online for interior photos that I liked. I then added them to Claude and I told what I liked about each one, the style of one, the lighting of another, and so on. And then I asked Claude to write a single text prompt that mixed those things together. I took that prompt to Higgsfield and generated the image with Nano Banana. Once I had an image I liked, I brought it back into Claude and I asked for more images from the same photo shoot. Same lighting, same style, but different objects in the room and different angles. And then I added these prompts plus the initially generated image in Higgsfield to generate the other images. It's important to think about where each image will go before you generate it, because that decides the ratio that you need. So for the hero I needed wide images, so I used the horizontal 16:9 ratio. And for the images lower on the page I used the vertical 3:4 and 4:5 ratio. If you start with the wrong image, the image may not fit the layout that you're going for. So with the visuals ready, I now have everything I need to start on the build of the website in Claude. Before I open Claude, I create a folder on my computer, and this is the project folder that stores all the website files. I keep mine on Dropbox for a backup, but your desktop is fine too, and inside it I add a second folder called Visuals to store my images and videos. So once the folders are set up, I open the Claude app, and I use the Mac app which you can download from the Claude website. And once logged in, I go to the Claude Code tab and I start a new session. Here you can choose to work locally or in the cloud, and I keep mine local. And then I select the project folder that I created earlier. I picked Opus 4.8 as the model. It's the most intelligent model Claude offers while making this video, and I set the effort to medium. And then I leave the mode on accept edits, and this means that Claude makes the file edits on its own, but still asks me before it runs a command. I also use Git, and Git is a free tool that lets you save points in your project. And the first time you run a Git command, your Mac will likely ask you to install it. A small window pops up and then you can install it from there. So each time I start a fresh project, I ask Claude to set up a Git repository for me, and a repository is just a place where Git stores every saved version of your project. So I keep my Git workflow very simple. I prompt for a new branch for each section, and a branch is just a save copy of your project where I can make changes without touching the main version. And when I'm happy with it, I merge it into the main and I save it. And if I don't like it or if a section goes wrong, then I just throw the branch away and then I start again. And that's basically it. While you build your website, you want to be able to see it in the browser, and for that you can start a local server. A local server runs your website on your own computer. It's not online yet, it's just there for you to preview your work as you go. And you can just ask Claude to start a local development server so you can preview the website. Claude runs it and will provide a local address, and this is something like localhost 8000 or something like that. And then I open that in my browser and there's the website. From there on, every time I make a change, I refresh the page to see it, and when I'm done, I just ask Claude to stop the server for me. So now with the project folders all set up and the visuals ready, I start with prompting to build the website in Claude. And I always start my first prompt by describing everything that I want. I describe it as detailed as possible, and Claude will split up the prompt in different tasks if it becomes very long. But it's not only about giving more information, it's also about describing what you want very clearly, especially in that first prompt. I say this often in my videos, but you should look at the first prompt as the foundation of the entire website, so it's important to get it right. And the reason for this is that it sets the stack for your project. So on a simple website it doesn't matter too much, but on something that's more advanced, things can get really messy if you try to change the stack later on. So what I like to include in the first prompt is the goal of the website and the layout, which is a single one-page layout for today's website. I also include the design tokens, which are the design choices like the fonts, the colors and other design choices you use consistently on your website. And I also like to add the first section of the website in that same prompt, which is the hero section in this case, and that way I can check if it understood and implemented my design choices. Because this first prompt is often relatively long, I don't type it, but I speak it out loud into an AI voice transcriber, and then I give that text to Claude and ask it to turn it into one clean prompt for Claude Code. I also pointed to the location of the visuals folder, so later I can simply refer to the images in this folder and then Claude knows where to look. After uploading the first prompt alongside the reference image, Claude understood almost everything, and I only had to make some small adjustments like enlarging the logo on the navigation and make the slide digits clickable. After that I commit the current state and prompt for a new branch to work on the next section, and this is my rhythm for the whole build. I work on 1 or 2 sections at a time, and I combine the simpler sections like the quote and the about me section, and I keep the harder ones on their own. For each section I clearly describe how it looks and how it behaves, and in a lot of cases I make small adjustments because I noticed something that I didn't think of when I was writing the prompt. For example, I wanted the quote and the about me sections to scroll up and over the hero with the hero staying fixed behind it. But by default the AI kept the navigation on top of the other elements, also on the quote and the about me sections. So I prompted it to go underneath it instead, and that was just a quick and easy fix. But if it doesn't work out the way that you wanted, and if you envision something completely different, that's okay too. You can always discard the branch that you're working on and start a new one to give it another go. Something that's definitely worth to include in your prompts are animations. This is so easy to do now with AI, and it can really set your website apart and make the visitor's experience more engaging. For example, I prompted for parallax scroll effects for the images, which make the images scroll in different speeds than the website. And I used the ticker animation for displaying the projects in a more elegant way. Making a website responsive is very important because a lot of your visitors may use mobile or tablet when visiting your website. But with AI this can be a bit tricky and can easily break things. So Claude does use flexible containers for most text and images, so you don't have to fix every small element on your website. But I still go one section at a time from top to bottom. I start with the mobile navigation bar, and for this website I move the logo to the left and I add a hamburger menu on the right. For blocks with an image and text side by side, I stack them. The image goes on top and the text below. I do this for the About section too, image on top, text underneath it. And I also try to make the design more compact, because on a phone you don't want people to scroll too much. If they have to scroll a lot, you may lose them, and that's why it's common practice to hide certain elements on a mobile view that you don't need or will break the flow of the scroll. So the design is done, and the next step is to deploy it, to put it on the internet. And for this I use two tools. I use GitHub and I use Vercel. So GitHub stores your code online, and then Vercel takes that code and makes your site live on the internet. And the goal is to connect the two, and then every time you push your code to GitHub, your live website updates itself with Vercel. So first connect GitHub. You can make a free account on the GitHub website, and they offer a very generous free plan. And then inside Claude, you can add a connector by going to your settings, click connectors and search for GitHub. A new window will open and ask you to log in, and you now can talk to GitHub right inside Claude Code. And now you can do the rest by prompting. I just say push this project to GitHub as a private repository, and Claude will ask for a project name, and then your code is saved online. Okay, next is Vercel, and you can make a free account here too and add the Vercel connector the same way as the GitHub connector. And now there's one manual step. To link Vercel to GitHub, you open the Vercel dashboard in your browser and you create a new project, select the project you push to your GitHub repository, and then give Vercel permission to use it. And you have to do this part yourself because it needs your approval, but it only takes a few seconds. So there's one last optional step, which is a custom domain. Vercel gives you a free web address, but it always ends with vercel.app. So for your own domain, you have to buy one, and I purchased mine on GoDaddy. And once the domain is bought, I connect it in the Vercel settings and I update the DNS records on GoDaddy, and that's it. Quick overview of the cost. I'm on a $40 plus plan on Hixfield for the visuals, which is optional if you bring your own. And the domain from GoDaddy, which is also optional, as you can use the free Vercel domain if you'd want. But the price for a domain on GoDaddy will depend on what you want to purchase. But a .com domain will cost $23 a year. And I'm on the $20 Claude Pro plan, and that's really it. So now your website is built and live, but there's a lot more that you can add from here. For example, you could add a CMS like Sanity. A CMS lets you change your text and images later without touching any of the code. And this can be very useful if you have a client, for example, that wants to update the site themselves. And you can also add Google Analytics. This shows how many people visit your website and what they look at. And this is completely free, and Claude can easily help you with setting these things up. You could also improve SEO so people can find you more easily on Google. But if you made it this far into the video, you now have the knowledge to build the base of your website with AI. From an idea to the visuals to the finished site that's live online, you now have everything you need to launch your own website. And about that free gift that I mentioned at the start of this video, I'm giving away the full website, all the prompts that I used in the visuals, plus a deeper guide on Git and on deploying with GitHub, Vercel and GoDaddy. It's all linked in the description of this video. And if you'd like to see more designs that I built with AI, then please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.